So I'll be introducing our panelists for tonight. Okay, so the session's topic is volunteering helps you land at a better job. Uh, okay, so hold on. There you go. So yeah, just to do my spiel, okay? So we usually do this. So for those people who do not know, Mozilla is actually a nonprofit organization. And as a mission-driven organization, we believe in these things. So we need to build a better internet. And it's part of our mission to ensure that the internet will remain as a global public resource that is open and accessible to all. And an internet that truly puts people first, where individuals can shape their own experiences and are empowered, safe, and independent. And as we go along, we need to build things. And one of the things that makes Mozilla relevant to internet is Firefox. So it's a common misconception that Mozilla and Firefox are one and the same. No, they're not the same. Uh, Firefox is actually a family of products, as you can see here. It has versions for desktop, iOS, and Android. We also have Relay, okay? And yeah, all of the things that we do as a nonprofit organization revolves in protecting users, promoting the open web, and of course, open source. So tonight, we are going to discuss together with our guests how can you land at a better job through volunteering. Okay, so we have with me. Okay, I'll be introducing them. So our panelists. Okay, sorry, there. Our panelists are Romar Meyer Mikabalo. We have Phuc Dang, okay, and we have Kenneth Sonkaya. I'll be introducing them first before they introduce themselves. Okay, one, Romar here is currently working for InnoView Solutions Inc. as a technical project manager and team lead for the Data Infrastructure Telecoms and Security Teams, or DITS, okay? He is currently our Mozilla Philippines Regional Coordinator in Northern Mindanao. And part of Romar's volunteer experiences include being the co-founder of Paichada, ITGX, Cloud Nevate, okay, or later, I do not know how to pronounce that one, Russell, and when he is free on the side, he does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, okay, MMA stuff. So, and then the only rose among the thorns in this panel discussion is Phuc Dang, okay. She is the founder of FOSSASIA. What is FOSSASIA? It's an organization that strives to improve people's lives through sharing open technologies, knowledge, and fostering global connections and sustainable production. She is currently the chair of the annual FOSSASIA Summit and organizes open tech summits in different parts of the globe to include Vietnam, India, China, Sri Lanka, and Germany. She is a board member of the Open Source Business Alliance in Europe and currently is the vice chair of IEEE Open Source Committee. She also serves as the vice president of the Open Source Initiative. Phuc believes that free and open source is not just a way to exchange code freely. It is a collaboration model that sets an example of how people around the world can work together peacefully to solve any problem. And last but not the least, we have Kenneth Sonkaya. So he is a back-end developer with 7 solid years of experience. He is currently a software engineer at Rakuten Travel Exchange and has been a Mozilla PH volunteer since 2013. He likes to play guitar, studies Japanese. He studies the Japanese language during his free time. Okay, so let's get to know more about them. I'll stop sharing my screen. Okay, so ladies first. Let's call on Phuc, okay, to tell us where she is now, what she is currently doing, and different stuff related to her professional career. Phuc?
Yeah, thank you, Paul. I don't know what else to say. I think that was a very long and very nice introduction you make already. To add a little bit more, I'm currently in Berlin. One more thing in my professional career that was not mentioned earlier, I also work as a senior product manager for the biggest tech company here in Germany. It's called Zalando. Basically, I don't know if anyone heard about it, but similar to Amazon, but for Europe. I'm originally from Vietnam, and Bob already mentioned all the organizations that I'm associated with. I started FOSSASIA. He already mentioned before. This is an organization with a lot of open source developers that come together to develop free technologies, like open source technologies. What else? I speak some Chinese. I was in Manila before. I got to know Bob also from volunteers activities many years ago. I don't remember exactly when was the first time we met, Bob.
That's something like 2013.
Yes, 20,
Sorry, 2013.
2013, yes, 2013, like 8 years ago, something, yeah, through like the open source community. Yeah, so I'm very happy to be here and looking forward to speak to other panelists and share some experience regarding my volunteering experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hong Phuc. Okay, let's go over to Romar, okay, all the way from CDO. Hi, Romar, how are you?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Bob. Hong Fok, nice to see you again. Hi, Kenneth. And looking at the comment section, a lot of very familiar people. Yeah, I've been volunteering, of course, with a lot of different organizations and initiatives. Aside from the ones that mentioned by Bob earlier, I also volunteer for A4 Mindanao Alliance, which is an NGO here in Cagayan de Oro. We're helping out Igaonon tribesmen with their livelihood. I also volunteered before with Ubuntu local community, so Ubuntu Loco for the Philippines. I also volunteered for the Fedora project, and of course for CentOS for a while. But yeah, I'm more active right now with Mozilla. So yeah, been all over the place.
Cool. Thank you, Romar. Okay, let's go and hear it over from Kenneth. How are you, Kenneth?
Hello, sir. Hello, Romar and Kong. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, there's nothing really about special in me. I used to work overseas. My first job was in Dubai, and I'm currently in the Philippines and working remotely for a Singaporean company. So yeah, I was an active volunteer in 2013 before I started before I went to Dubai, and then yeah, I stopped my activities there, and then I just resumed joining with the Mozilla PH community's activity recently when I came back to the Philippines. So yeah, that's all.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so we have 3 awesome panelists for tonight. So let's keep the ball rolling. So the first question is, what made you volunteer to your organization or organizations? So let's start with Hong Phuc. What started your volunteer journey?
Yes, let me think of my university time. So at that time, I was a student, right? And as you know, as a student, you're always like looking for opportunity where you can get a job. And what I remember at that time, back in Vietnam, it was so super difficult to find something that you can just like get a simple job, you know, that you have an option whether you can work as a part-time in some restaurant, or you can work as an assistant for some family, and getting like try. For young people, we're always thinking, what can we do with actually to expose ourselves to the world and to learn more, like how the real business work. So I think that was my first volunteer experience was being a volunteer translator at a tech event. So at that time, I remember, I think it was 2006 or 2005. Yeah, so many years ago. So yeah, I studied in school, and my friend who worked for a tech company told me that there is an event that they're looking for volunteers, and I just signed up as a translator for the tech event. And at that time, it was the first time I learned about open source as well. It was an open source event where people come together and share different technology. And after the first experience, I realized that you can actually learn a lot just by doing like volunteering. So you not only participate in event is one thing, but really volunteer for event, you can learn a lot of things behind the scene. You can learn, get more connection with the speaker. You can understand how organization work behind. For instance, here we're now talking through a system called StreamYard, so you learn about a new tool. So there are a lot of things you can learn. And for young people, doing volunteer in different organizations is also a good chance for them to put on their CV for the future. You know, after you graduate, there's so many people graduate at the same time. How can people land a job? So that was just the very first experience in my volunteering career until today. So after that one, most of my volunteering, how do I say, experience have to do with open source organization. So I start to also I also did some translation for Mozilla before, and the local team, and then I also contribute to Fireform projects and other projects before I actually started the FOSSASIA organization. The whole idea of FOSSASIA basically to show people the opportunity with open source, and many of the projects developed in FOSSASIA are developed by volunteer developers. Yeah,
Awesome.
so I'm sorry, I don't know how, because it's a really long journey. I don't know how far I should speak, but in general, because of the volunteer activity that I participated in, I got like a lot of opportunities coming after I found FOSSASIA, and then get into the tech industry. Even though I did not study in computer science, you learn a lot. And until today, I still, when I have a chance to, I still volunteer as other events when I have a chance to. So I will also, the most recently would be when I'm coming to Germany, I also volunteer, as Bob mentioned already, being on the board of the IEEE, devoting your time to help people learn more open source. Yeah, but I guess I can speak more in the following questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Hong Phuc. Okay, how about you, Romar? What started your volunteer journey?
Yeah, of course, what made me volunteer to Mozilla, actually, it's not the first time that I volunteered for Mozilla. It's just recently that I became a formal volunteer for Mozilla. It was like, if I remember, that was 2019, right, Bob? That I got formally, that I formally became a Mozilla volunteer. But previously, like several years ago, way back early to mid 2000s, I've been contributing to Firefox Sumo before, and also contributing to Mozilla localization and translation using a different tool. Dati putol pa yun eh. Ngayon we're using Pontoon. But yeah, that got cut off. But I came back again because, of course, part of my love with Mozilla is, of course, the very open nature of the Firefox ecosystem, and including the projects that the projects and the initiatives that Mozilla espouses. So it really hits home, and it's not really the first time that I was able to mention earlier that I was also more active when it comes to volunteering for various open source projects, like for Fedora, for CentOS, for Ubuntu, again, all over the place. But it's not only with tech that I get to volunteer. I also volunteer with civil society organizations as well, helping out tribesmen and all that. But the main reason is that it's not really about being altruistic about things. The initial reason why I volunteer is because there are certain issues that I need to address as well. Things that I need to learn and know. And then after that, of course, once I get to know something, I wanna, the best teacher is to the best way to learn is to teach. So when I learn something, I wanna retain that as well for the long term. So I wanna impart that as well to other people. So that registers with me, and then the more I keep on drilling that, and then we reach mastery as well. So,
Awesome. We'll go to that learnings later. Okay. So how about you, Kenneth? What made you volunteer? I've known Kenneth for quite some time, and yeah, what made you decide to volunteer?
I was actually invited by my mentor from my college. His Sir Joel Lapitan. So he asked me to join some Mozilla what's that Moss Coffee session, and then they introduce they introduce the next events that will happen for the next months, or for the next events that will happen. So I joined the events after that, and yeah, I just enjoyed joining the events, meeting a lot of people, professionals, especially professionals. And I just graduated back then. And back then, the 2013 Mozilla PH was really active in their events. It's like once a week they have an event. There's events in school, other places, and yeah, they're very active back then. So I enjoyed volunteering for them, and I was also a part of the Firefox OS launch. So it was really exciting that time. And yeah, I just enjoyed the events back then because yeah, it was really active.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So now that we have established what made you decide to volunteer at your respective organizations, the next question is, uh, what was your main motivation to volunteer? Was there were you promised of something if you volunteer at this organization, or around those that thing? Okay. So let's hear it first with Romar.
yeah, I guess I was able to mention a little bit about that earlier, but yeah, the first motivation really was to address some itch. Uh, I needed something to learn, and then like solving a problem that I encountered before several times when it comes to, of course, you know how icky it is when it comes to running Linux several years ago, like yeah, hardware compatibility and all of that. And it's because of that that I was able to meet. I was able to meet. What you call this? Somebody from Novell, the one who created Compies before, David Reedman. That's that's how I met the guy, and that's how I also learned how to install and make Compies run on top of a Linux distribution. So I'm not sure before, way back 2000, that was like 2004 or 2005. Nobody in the Philippines yet was basically have any idea about running a three-dimensional user interface on top of Linux. And I was already getting in touch with David Reedman around that time, talking about how to make it run on top of my laptop, and I was able to do that and did a public demo of that before. But yeah, um, uh, first motivation was really to learn, to solve, to solve problems that I encountered every day, not only for work but also for personal uh, stuff. But second motivation was to teach people, to share what I've learned so far. And of course, yeah, third is definitely helping out, because when you get to learn something, you're already in a good position to be able to extend a helping hand. And that's not only about sharing learning, but also sharing your effort and your time, because some people actually have this misconception that if you want to help, you need to You need money to be able to help, but that's not the case, especially here in volunteerism. The best currency for us as volunteers is not really monetary. It's not monetary resource. It's basically time and the effort. The financial aspect of volunteerism, that can be sourced anywhere. And this event is actually one of the best proof of that, right? Wherein there are a lot of organizations who are contributing to make this happen. But the most challenging aspect of getting this event from the ground up is not really the financial aspect. It's the effort and the time that is being put out by volunteers to put this event. So those are the kind of things that I've learned and been involved in so far ever since I've started volunteering several years ago.
Awesome. Thank you, Robert. How about you, Hong Phuc? We want to know if the motivation from different parts of Southeast Asia is totally different from the motivation here in the Philippines. I have spoken with several, especially several people, especially the students. Some of them, the motivation is actually food, because they will go to an event, volunteer, and there's free food. So how about from your end? What motivated you to volunteer?
Yes, so I think pretty much similar to what Roman said. I did not volunteer for food because I came from the Mekong Delta. So if you drop a seed on the rail, it will roll by itself. So very lucky that I was never hungry when I was younger. So I did not volunteer for food. And I remember at that time, not like today. When you volunteer, you get the certificate, you get a T-shirt. You sometimes get even like compensate for the time you put in. When I grew up, I volunteered back then. I did not get anything. Like the organization never make a promise that if you volunteer, you will get this and that. So it wasn't my motivation to get something out of the volunteer, like external motivation. It's more about like individual motivation. Similar to Roman, I value knowledge, and I believe until today, knowledge is the highest benefit that one could get. And volunteering bring me a lot of new knowledge, something that I would never get to learn in school. To meet new people, to get experience, and every time when I volunteer, I learn something new, learn how to solve problems, exactly like what Roman said, and it's good for my personal development. As you know, like we are struggling on like finding a job, getting opportunity. One thing that if we look back, if we become better ourselves, we develop ourselves into a certain stage. The more you learn, the better you be prepared yourself for anything in the marketplace. So that is one thing. So it's more about personal motivation, but this motivation also changed over the years. Before it was for personal development, to gain knowledge, to become better, to land in a job in the future. But now for me, I volunteer because I believe that volunteering in the open source community could help us to make a difference in the world. So what do I mean by make a difference in the world? So there are a lot of problems that we are facing as these days, like climate change, right? So we can have a very good life, but something happened to our planet, and you cannot live all by yourself. So by working together, collaborate, and I think that with free technology, where everyone can share solution and can work together, we can make a difference in our society. Even though we don't see it right now, okay, it's a huge difference that we could make, but every day, when I volunteer for FOSSASIA, for open source organization, I can see that it makes a difference in other people's lives and also myself. Like Roman, I also want to comment him again. He said that he can learn something by teaching other people, and I totally agree. Over the year, I also see that a lot of open source contributors get a job in a very good company. For Google, for Microsoft, got a chance to go abroad. For many people, it's difficult to leave the country, especially for us who live in Southeast Asia. You know how difficult it is if we want to go to Europe or in the West. But if you look at the open source community, you see that a lot of people got a chance to go overseas. Yeah, so it brings people new opportunity. It shows people the potential. So it makes them independent of what they want to achieve in the future. This is my motivation. So to develop myself in a different level, and at the same time, right now, my motivation for volunteer is to make a difference in our society.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah. How about you, Kenneth? When you volunteered for the first time at Mozilla Philippines community, you were still a student then, right?
I was a yes, sir. I was a student the first time, and
So
then
what was the motivation of your professor then for you to join the movement?
actually it's the same with both of Romar and Ako. I think it's for personal growth as well, and as a person and as a newbie professional. Yeah, at that time I just graduated. I was a bit afraid of the outside world and especially the interviews. I was not really a public speaker, so for me it was really hard to communicate. So yeah, meeting professionals during the activities from the volunteering activities, it helped me gain confidence and yeah, just interacting with them, learning something new that was not that's what was not taught in from school. Yeah, during my interviews abroad after those experiences, I had more confidence, I guess.
Okay,
So
so
yeah.
since we are at that line of thought, so from the Philippines, you were a student, and then you volunteered, and then you had the chance of working abroad. So we go now to the next question. How has volunteering impacted your professional career? So let's go first with Kenneth. I want to hear from Kenneth. So being someone who had traveled to work abroad, so how is it? Was there any effect because you came from with a background in volunteering?
Absolutely, sir. Yeah, meeting many inspirational people opened up opportunities and learnings as well. Um, yeah, I met various professionals that talk about technologies, their strategies, their passions about their work that I wouldn't have learned from school, especially in our field where there is always something new. So, yeah, I use those encounters as reference to move forward, to continue exploring. Uh, and yeah, the confidence that I gained from those encounters lessen the tension in the interviews.
Okay.
And yeah, I wouldn't have tried out something new if I haven't heard of it. So definitely the interactions with the other professionals greatly affected my career.
Okay, thank you. How about you, Hong Kong? What was the plus factor of being a volunteer to your professional career?
I have changed my professional career. I did not study computer science, but I completely working in tech industry. So that is the first thing. So I wouldn't say that if you volunteer, you will get the job. There's no guarantee that you volunteer, you will get the job. But I would say that it gives you an opportunity to look at, to join different industries, to learn new things, and whether you can get a job or not in the future. Of course, volunteer is a way to go, to give you the chance to explore yourself to different areas and meet different people, to network. But it's more about yourself. If you work hard, you also need to work hard yourself. You need to have the motivation to learn. But I can emphasize that volunteer have changed entirely my career path. So I studied marketing and communication, but now I'm working, landing in a job in the tech industry. And doing every day like software development, and it just opened up for me different opportunity, and also make me think and understand what I want to achieve and what I want to do in my life. So when you study in school, remember, you at one time you can only do one major in university. Some people are like working much harder and also smarter. They do 2 or 3 majors at one, but again, it's only 2 or 3 majors. There's so many different topics and area that you can go into, and by doing volunteer is help you to understand further what the potential and what are the the market offer opportunities that you can participate in. Yeah.
Thank you. How about you, Romar? How has volunteering upscaled your professional career?
All right. Here's a good story. I think this is a perfect example in this part of the question. Uh, I'm currently working for interviews, but the story was that before I joined this company way back 2013, uh, the general manager for interviews, Mr. Leonel Amarado, was organizing basically the first time for CDO for Cagayan de Oro to be having a Python-based meetup. That was in 2013, and at that time it was also the first time that they brought in one of their uh, project lead from the U.S., Mr. Ed Henderson. He flew in from Boise, Idaho, because of business, of course, with Innovative Solutions. So while Mr. Henderson was here, Ed Henderson, when he was here for like 2 weeks, uh, he suggested to Lionel that he's curious about the existing developer ecosystem here in Cagayan de Oro, and he want to see if there are people who are interested into diving into Python. Uh, so they organized a meetup for Python, and he coursed it through our existing organization, which is ITGX. ITGX was started way back 2011, and so through ITGX, Leo announced that they're gonna be having a Python meetup, and that was in 2013. I was fresh out of transitioning from my several years of working with Time Doctor. I'm sure a lot of people here know about Time Doctor. Uh, so I worked for Time Doctor for several years. We practically started that project up. We created infrastructure before for the servers and and whatnot. So I transitioned from that job, and then I was like sort of resting for a couple of months, and then I joined the meetup for the Python meetup organized by Innovative Solutions, and then from there we had a talk, and then I joined the company a couple of months later. So yeah, and I'm still here after several years. I'm still working with the team. So yeah, that's one of the impacts of volunteering. And
Awesome.
aside
Yeah,
from
go,
that,
go, go.
also I get to learn. With volunteering, I get to work more with people, and it actually helped me out be able to discern and be able to adjust and work with people closely, because for several years my career was basically on systems administration and servers and whatnot. And you of course this perception from people that a lot of IT guys and tech guys who are really deep into tech are sort of introverted and don't really know how to relate with people very much. So most of us are actually would prefer to be in front of the machine than dealing with people, right? So with volunteering, I get to be able to mingle with people more, get to network with people more, and that ultimately also helped me out with my current role in the company, doing technical project management. So I was able to, learn how to be a people person as well.
Okay, thank you. Since you are at that line of thought, okay, so let's go to the fourth question. What are the perks of volunteering? So maybe just one, the main perk of being a volunteer. Let's go and hear it from Romar.
Yeah, of course. The main perk is number one for me. No, number one for me is getting to know other people. You know, expanding your circle of friends, expanding people you know. So of course, if I didn't volunteer for the organizations that I'm involved in right now, I wouldn't get to know you, Bob. and I wouldn't have been able to know Hong Phuc, Kenneth, and of course, I'm even looking at the comments right now. If I wasn't I haven't been volunteering in the open source communities and others, I wouldn't have known Doc Sonny Valdez and Sina Miki with Python PH and the other guys. So yeah, uh, that's basic for me. That's the primary perk, being able to expand my circle of friends.
Okay, cool. Thank you. How about you, Hong Kok? What for you is the main perk of being a volunteer?
Yeah, so can I say what Roman just said? I also say people is a very like the highlight in my volunteers experience. So I met my best friend through the community. I met people, I got in touch with people from all over the world, and it's also enabled me to travel anywhere and connect with the real people, the local real community. And with the talk earlier, we also heard that a lot of people get the job through networking. So not only like meeting your friends, meeting partners that you can work with in the community, but it also bring you a lot of opportunities and benefit for your professional development.
Okay, thank you. How about you, Kenneth? Aside from food and free shirt, what do you think are the main perks of being a volunteer?
I was also gonna say free connections. Yeah, free connections with people. Yeah, it also can help land a job to well-known companies if you know people from yeah, those companies.
There, awesome. Yeah, I can, as a volunteer, I can attest. Uh, One of the main the beauty of being a volunteer is that you get to have connections, and as I always say, you get to have digital connections, because the connections of other people may not be as good as what you have right now. And thankfully, if you're in a volunteer network, you will have, should I say, digital connections compared to the other people. Now, just for the interest of time, maybe we'll go to the last question. Do you think that you being a volunteer made yourself more attractive to recruiters or employers? Let's hear it from Kenneth first. Being a volunteer, do you think that you made yourself more attractive to employers or recruiters?
Yes, sir. Some employers gets curious when they see this Mozilla PH volunteer line in my CV. But I'd say it's more of the experience, I guess. Um, Without those, I wouldn't be able to learn the tech stacks that I have now. That makes it attract recruiters and employers.
Okay, how about you, Romar? What would you say? Have you made yourself more attractive to recruiters now that they know that you are a volunteer for many organizations?
Definitely. Yes, definitely. Um, uh, Not only does volunteering not only makes you feel good inside, and doesn't only make you look good to other people while you're actively involved in volunteer work with. Doesn't have to be a tech organization. It could be any organization, civil society organization, or whatever. Heck, you can volunteer for your community pantry if you want to. Um, not only does it make you feel good, it also not only does it make you look good to other people, but it also makes your resume uh, you know bit more colorful, because usually we put on our CVs are just your uh, you know academic prowess, your the skills that you have, and the employers that you've worked with, and then the skills that you have. But if you add another section there, like I've been volunteering my time with certain organizations like this, whoa, it gives employers an idea of how you think, you behave, and you feel, because the more organizations that you have there, meaning this person has a wide perception. This person, there's it tells employers also that you care, that you care for something, and you are yearning for, yearning for being able to contribute to society as a whole, not just, trying to wait for that next paycheck, you know, right? So,
Yeah, thank you. How about you, Hong Fu? From your experience?
Yeah, so the answer is yes. Of course, it makes you look more attractive. But I can talk on the point of a recruiter, because I also interviewed developers for our company, right, and the company that I work with. So basically, if I look at a CV of developer, it's mentioned that he have the history of contribute to any open source project. I would highly favor and would like to talk with the person. The reason why, if you're looking for a job in a tech company, why you're of course volunteer, but what kind of volunteer experience that's relevant for a tech recruiter? I think this is something that we are talking about here. When you show that you contribute to open source, especially these days, a lot of people want to show, okay, so this is, look at my GitHub profile, I have so many contributions, look at my GitLab profile, right? Of course, a recruiter do not only look at your contribution, because a small change can also make, to make your profile look good. But the first thing is, you will make your CV more attractive to the people if you show that you work in a real software development project. And this is what Mozilla or any open source project could provide to you, an environment where you can work in a distributed team. And the open source way of software development that enable people to learn and exchange ideas, sharing code, collaboration on code. So they have special way how they develop different Git model. And they say it's a big plus for any tech company, and recruiter would really in favor of people, especially for me. If I look at the CV of developers and they put inside that they contribute or being open source maintainer or developer, I would highly prefer those CVs.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's see if we have questions from the audience. If you have, please feel free to leave them in the chat box. Okay, so let's give them 30 seconds. So due to the interest of time, okay, so we were given until 8 p.m. But yeah, Filipinos, we love Filipino time. Sorry, I know that you know that Filipino time. Okay, do we have questions from the audience? Please stay tuned until the end of this session. We are going to announce how you get to win awesome stuff from our sponsors. Okay, so there's one question from Sonny Valdez. Is volunteering worth it to you, or is volunteering worth it? Okay, let's hear it first from Kenneth.
Of course, yes, for me, sir. Yeah, the again, the experiences that I have accumulated during those activities made a difference of what I am a developer right now. So, and the skills that I have learned because of the communications with other developers, other tech people. Yeah.
Okay, how about you, Hong Fu?
I think this is the obvious answer. Otherwise, why are we here? We are talking about why people should volunteer. Yes, so the answer is yes.
But do you think there is any disadvantage of volunteering?
Disadvantage of volunteering, it depends on, you need to balance between, so it's a disadvantage or not, it's up to a person to tell. So you need to see, you need to prioritize yourself, what is important for you in your life and what you want to get done or achieve. If let's say that you have the exam this week and your friend asks you, okay, let's go here to volunteer for this. So what is more important for you, to have somebody or to pass your exam? So it's a personal choice. Personal decision.
Okay, how about you, Romar?
Yeah, definitely worth it. As what Hongfog said, we won't be here. We won't be doing what we love to do for several years already and still doing it. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, downside, of course, you need to be able. Yeah, it can eat up. It can eat up your time, honestly. But you need to be able to manage your time and make your priorities. Make priorities.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you to all those who left their questions in the chat box. We can continue the discussion in the Discord tool. Okay. So for now, any last words from our panelists? So let's hear it first from Hong first before we hand it over to the next to the next session. Last words for volunteers. How to be, yeah.
Yes. So last word. Yes, I also see. Unfortunately, we cannot go through all the questions. So I just want to say that because of volunteering, I learned it's a very good job. I'm happy with what I'm doing, and I feel independent. So I'm not struggle every day of thinking of what I can do next. So I always often get the job offer from other companies as well. To me, it's all come from like being volunteer in open source community. Of course, there's so many opportunities out there for you to volunteer, but I highly recommended you to look for opportunity in open source community. And people ask, okay, where I can connect with like different groups. I also want to answer that question. Of course, here Bob is a representative of Mozilla. You can volunteer there, or FOSSASIA, the organization that I'm leading and I found it for many years. So we have a lot of volunteers who contribute to various projects of FOSSASIA. You can easily find us on GitHub. We also have a GitHub channel. We have a program where people can learn how to code. It's called CodeHeat, CodeHeat.org, where you can also find more detail like beginner tasks, how you can volunteer on very small technical issue and start to contribute to open source projects.
They're awesome. So that's codehit.org. Okay, take note of those guys. How about you, Kenneth?
I guess I'd say don't be intimidated in what we do or in volunteering. Just do it if you really want to do it. Yeah, a lot of people will help you. The community is huge, so approach anyone and they will openly help you. Yeah.
Okay, and Romar?
Yeah, of course. My last words, of course, are gonna be trying to answer some of the questions. You can connect with the communities that are supporting this event. You start from there. All right. So, and of course, just be yourself. If you want to volunteer, just be yourself, and be prepared to learn. That's it. Be prepared to learn, and also at the same time, be prepared to teach. That's it.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you very much to our panelists, Kenneth, Phuc, and Romar. Thank you. Okay. We will have a second part of this somewhere within the bounds of Mozilla PH in the near future. So we know that time is not on our side tonight, but I learned so much. I hope that our listeners, our viewers, pick up one thing or two. Okay. So for those who are asking how to be part of the Mozilla Philippines Committee, Director, can we have the slide deck up on the screen? There, okay? So we are on social media. Get in touch with us through Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We have a weekly session on YouTube. We call it the Office Hours. If you have questions, everything about Mozilla, open source, open web, just feel free to be part of it. And we are also on Instagram. And okay, so these are our contact information. Sorry, there's a fire truck in front of our house. Okay, there. So you can also get in touch with us through email at info@mozillaphilippines.org and chat via chat.mozilla.org using the Matrix tool. And this is the more awesome part, aside from what we've learned from our panelists. So that we have a session feedback and raffle. All you need to do is go and scan this QR code, or if you do not have a scanner or QR code scanner, simply go to bit.ly/mostech2021, fill up the session form, and from there we'll be raffling off 10 grab food vouchers tonight. Okay, So we'll be raffling off 10 GrabFood vouchers if you will accomplish the session feedback form. Okay? We will not give away your private information to anyone else. Okay? That's our promise. Okay? So again, this is Bob Reyes from the Mozilla Philippines community. Maraming salamat at mabuhay tayong lahat. Ingat kayong lahat. Is Isabel there?
Thank you, Bob. Bye, Roma. Bye, Kenneth. Have a good evening.
Thank you to
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.